This Old Car is brought to you by Sonic, America's Drive-In. Sonic, drive-in for a change. Boy, I hope I got my transmission hooked up right. Here we go. Oh, man, time to watch This Old Car again. We're back out at Passenger Sandblasting. This is a fun part of the show. We like to get to see the rust get off the parts and get off the frame, get everything nice and clean. Now, it's a pretty windy day and the sun's not out really, so we're gonna have a little fun out here. This is Steve Gould. Steve, how you doing today? And who do we got in here?
That's James Tracy.
James Tracy. Look at this outfit that he's kind of wearing. He's even got a fresh oxygen supply hose right here. Gives you, what is that? It gives you fresh oxygen so you can breathe. So the sand doesn't blow. It's kind of like being a deep sea diver, but you're in West Texas. So anyway, we wanted to thank you guys for Passenger Sandblasting for letting us come out and we're kind of on a tight time schedule with our show, but they fit us in. You guys don't just sandblast auto parts. We got to let people know that. I saw a horse trailer that you did the other day. Okay, what else do you do?
I do all kinds of trailers, do prefab buildings.
Trailers, prefab buildings.
I can't think of anything we haven't
Just
done.
Water towers, I heard you
water
say that.
towers, yeah, they did a water tower. Apparently, you know, the Jeff Foxworthy thing, some guy had to defend his sister's honor. So they called Passenger Sandblasting and got her name sandblasted off the water tower. I'm not exactly sure if those are the facts, but that's how we're presenting them right now. Anyway, I'm sorry, I forgot his name again.
James.
James? All right, it's okay, you can't hear me anyway. James! Are you ready to go? Okay. James is going to start sandblasting. Now, let me point out a couple things about sandblasting that really help you when you're doing a restoration. First of all, you got to get rid of all your surface rust. And secondly, when you see areas like here where you've got rust and you don't know how deep it goes, they've already sandblasted underneath here, and you can look underneath there and see that big holes, yeah. It shows you where you rust through, and your metal's really thin, so you're going to either have to cut out and put in new metal, or you're going to have to use Dynaglass or all metal to kind of repair that metal in there. Okay, so let's get the sandblasting going here, and we'll show you how this process kind of works. We'll be back to talk to you about some other things that we're going to point out just after he's doing this. We got to get out of the way. The sand is really bad. Go ahead and tear it up. As you can see where the old Bondo is. That lets you know where bodywork has been done before. And it's okay to go ahead and have it sandblasted because you're going to have to redo it anyway. I was pointing out, Brent, how the sandblasting also shows where prior bodywork has been done before. Right. Looks like an all-metal patch there. Now, these guys are experts here at Bassier's. They know what they're doing. They use a lower air pressure.
Notice how he's standing back a little way?
Yeah, he's not getting right on it so it doesn't warp the metal, and he's not going all the way through. He's just getting close enough to the surface where it's taking the rust off and all the old primer. You get too close, it's going to start warping your metal. It kind of looks like he's spray painting it, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. I think we just clear coat the thing and just call it good. I kind of like the gunmetal gray.
Yeah. No, man, he's primer.
Primer, man.
Everybody's primer. I like to see what it does to our sills down there and our, what do you call that area under the door?
Oh, the rocker panels.
Yeah, the rocker panel. I'm interested in seeing what that looks like when it gets to that area.
Well, I don't think we'll have to worry about cutting the metal out because I think it'll all be gone. It's got a little bit of perforation on it. I think it'll just blow away.
Yeah, we're going to be doing some a little bit of metal work on this car. Other than that, Now folks, if you see the inside of our floor panel, we didn't show that to you earlier, that has not been sandblasted. That's the original gray paint that came from the factory. That's how good our floor inside of our 56 Chevy, that's the good condition it was in. It wasn't rusted through that bad. The only thing they did is some gomer cut a really bad hole in the center section for a shifter, which we'll have to repair. But there's gomers and bozos everywhere. You can't get away from them.
I think he cut it out 3 or 4 times and it still wasn't in the right place.
It's like, I'll cut it 3 times and it's still too short.
Well, I imagine all this rust has to improve the soil quality out here. My wife is always going to the garden shop and buying these really nasty bags of rust to put in the flower bed.
I think those are wood chips.
Oh, no, it's brown. Could be hickory.
The most important thing to point out here is after you get your car sandblasted like this, immediately get it indoors and primer it.
Primer it. If you're going to have to wait overnight, you might want to get some metal crap that's a phosphoric acid that's diluted and follow the directions and apply it.
We'll show that later. We don't want anybody doing that until we show how to do it properly. Here's one of the major benefits of sandblasting is when you get through all your rust and your primer and you get through the top surface of your plastic filler, you get to see what type of job the last person who did the body work did. Now you see, you see how all these air holes, okay? Air holes, bad. Smooth, Bondo, good, okay? This is not good. You can see all the air holes in there. I mean, those could be pockets. They could, man, chemicals can get in there. Anything could be in there.
Kind of like a diet food. It's light. I mean, it's full of air. There's nothing there.
And also now you can feel your body shape and realize this panel needs to be kicked out more. So we're going to have to strip all this out and pull this panel back out. I mean, here's a big dip you can see right here. I mean, if this car was on its side, I could inner tube down this, you know, on a snowy day.
May have to replace this. I checked last night and the thing was full of dirt. We'd missed it. Had to take a water hose and clean all that stuff out. So I'll bet
you really have to scrape and prep your body before you take it to the sandblaster. I mean, because the sandblaster can't get off everything. And yeah, Brent found a whole bunch of mud in here, and all the drain holes underneath were clogged.
That's probably, yes, probably why it rusted out. The drain holes were plugged up.
And see here, they bondoed over rust.
Ooh.
Bad. So now we got to chip all this out. We're going to we'll sandblast some more of this after we chip this out.
Don't fall in that hole there.
All right, so that's the benefits of sandblasting. So when you guys are ready to have your stuff sandblasted, call Bassinger Sandblasting Service. Okay. Hey folks, welcome to a section of the show where we're going to show you a little trick of the trade and also a way to make sure that when you do your body work after you've had your metal sandblasted, to make sure that you get the right preparation on your metal. Now, if you see our hood here, we had it sandblasted, but yet you still see a lot of what looks like rust, but it's probably a combination of rust and primer that's still on the metal. Because it looks like this because, well, this is thin metal, and when they're sandblasting out of Bassingers, they don't want to warp it, so they hit it really lightly. And so obviously you can't come in here right away and just start painting or prepping or primering. So there's 2 ways to do this. First of all, there's a product you can get through the Eastwood company, which is called Coraless. Now that's kind of like a product what we have here. It has chemicals in it that change the compound of your metal, which actually kill your rust and change it to an iron oxide. Or the other product that we're going to use and demonstrate right now is from DuPont. It's called Metal Conditioner. The number here is 5717S, in case you guys are jotting this stuff down. If not, go get a pen and pencil right now. Okay, so this does the same thing. What it does is actually change the chemical compound of the rust to an iron oxide. It also makes the metal more porous, so your paint and your primers will adhere to it a lot better, and you won't get any lifting. Now, before you do this, you're messing with an acid, okay? So do you want to protect yourself? You bet your acid you do. You want to make sure you have a good set of rubber gloves. Laugh at that, Ram. That was funny. Good set of rubber gloves. And I'm picking a nice hot day to do this, and of course you can tell I got grubby clothes on. You don't want to be messing with acid and a good pair of clothes. Also, just in case I get any, fumes, I'm going to wear a, paper respirator. Blow off your metal real good. And what I'm using here is a little homemade water evaporator that we have for inline to take the water out of the line, because you don't want to start spraying water on your line. But even so, if you got water in your air line before you spray it off, well, the acid's going to take care of it. So I'll demonstrate up here. You can see where I started a little bit on the front nose. Okay, I get real good on my cloth here. And you just start wiping the metal. Now don't worry about if your metal's too rough. That's another thing I want to point out too is your metal's going to be rough after sandblasting. It's not ready. I mean, that's just the first step. You've got to prepare your metal. You got to kill your rust before you do anything. It's good also to go ahead and sand your metal down, which we've already done here. Even still, you're going to see a lot of little flakes of fabric coming off your cloth. But you can take those up later with a tack cloth. What I'll do is do one side of the hood here and then let you see how that metal reacts. Compare it to the other side. Use liberal amounts. DuPont's liking that. Yeah, buy a lot. Use liberal amounts. That's why they put that on a product. Always read your safety precautions first, which I already did. It says use in a well-ventilated area, which is why we're outside. Now, you can back that picture off a little bit and look at both sides there. This side will start turning darker because the rust has already been killed and the chemical compound has been changed. Now I'll keep a good clean cloth while I'm doing this. Start on the other side. Wipe it down. Stuff doesn't smell too bad. And sometimes you can just go get phosphoric acid at the hardware store and mix it up yourself. If you're going to do that, mix it up at a 10-to-1 ratio because you don't want it too strong. And make sure you don't splatter this on any new paint anywhere. Let me put it this way. You guys ever spilled battery acid on your car? Not battery acid, but brake fluid? Same thing. It'll bubble it up fast. Do not use this stuff on painted surfaces. Now, I already did the underside. And once this is all done, then we'll take this into our booth, wipe it down and shoot it with primer. Now this is all done. All I got to do now, careful of that rag, you don't want to set it on any surface, it's going to get damaged. Whew. Gosh, it's hot. Now that's how you prep your metal. We'll demonstrate that coreless stuff from the Eastwood Company at a later time. But this is going to set up and dry right now. And I'm going to wipe off all the little pieces of fabric that came off my cloth with a tack cloth. Maybe sand it down real lightly again. The rust is killed on this. If you look at the metal real close, you can see the metal's starting to turn a dark gray. That's because the chemical compound is changing. But you have to do this before you put any primer or paint on it. I've already done the underneath side and primered it. We'll take this inside to our booth, primer it, bring it back, show it to you all done. Now here's a shot of our primered hood after we got it out of our paint booth, okay? Now, the thing you got to do, what I want to stress about this is your first official restoration point from this old car. When you're dealing with bare metal and with older parts like this that are rusted, you got to kill the rust first. Worry about the body work later. Don't think you got to rush right in from your bare metal and get your body work done. Don't do that. Protect your metal. Get rid of that rust first. Kill it first. Come over and hit it with a good epoxy primer. It's got to be epoxy because it sticks to bare metal and it seals it. It seals moisture out. So now this metal, you know, this is good hood. We can move it around, we can touch it, we can do what we want. Now we can do our body work, do it right, sand it back down when we need to do our body work, and primer it back over later. Because we're still got to do some finish. We got to do some finish sanding on this. We still got to do some high build priming, some sand and finish sanding on that before we get down to color. Don't rush to the color, folks, because a good paint job, which is what we want you to get with your restorations and your hot rods, is 90% preparation and 10% color. Okay, so that's your tip, I guess, your official this old car tip number 1 on metal prep. Hello and welcome back to This Old Car. Right now we're going to be looking at our 56 Chevy, which it's all back from the sandblaster. It looks like it's been spray painted primer, doesn't it? But it's not. This is all bare metal, ladies and gentlemen. And also, now we get a better chance to look at our quarter panel. Let's show the people some of the problems we've got here, Brent. Ooh, oil canning. Now this is really bad. When metal gets thin like this, and this part right here does it really good too. Here.
Can you stick your fingers through it? It's a flow
Just
there.
about. We can see our rust panel here. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, what is this guy, nuts?
Johnny, get out of bed.
Yeah, you got a teenage child, it's hard to wake up in the morning. Get out of bed! The sound man's going, ah! Well, folks, we looked at our quarter panel, and the reason we're getting a little nuts like this, we started checking it out. Once you get it back from the sandblaster, then you can see all the hidden truths about your car. We got big dents in here, not very big. This kind of looks like a cowboy got crazy.
The spur there.
It looks like a spur, really. It's got like a U shape here, then like a T on it, kind of like go like stupid car.
Stuck in the mud again.
Stuck in the mud. Yeah, right. We haven't had mud around here for a long, long time. It's a drought, ladies and gentlemen. So, metal this big, and this, you know, it's pretty thick gauge metal, but trying to get rid of oil canning like this, I mean, it's a really tough process. What you got to do is heat the metal up, right?
Very, very hot.
Yes, you have to heat the metal up, get it very hot so it shrinks back. Now, before,
Last month.
last month, right, or a little more than a month ago, the only thing you can get for quarter panels on these old 55, 56, 57 Chevys has been like patch panels, something that we would patch this, but we can't now, thanks to Sherman and Associates, an American-made company, you can get a full quarter panel for your 55, 56, 57 Chevrolets. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to replace this whole thing. We don't know, we're going to start it today, but we don't know exactly where we're going to cut it. Anyway, so now we can get rid of all this, get rid of this rust, move on back here, get rid of all this, and if you can see here from coming back from the sandblaster, now we've got plastic covering the top of it because in a situation like this in our shop, there's lots of chemicals that float through the air and you want to keep as many chemicals off as possible. Oil, contaminants, things that get here and, you know, and get into the metal. And, you know, if you're going to have something sandblasted and powder coated, that's not as big a deal because
They heat it off.
They heat it off, right, and they burn it up. And so when they put the powder on, they powder coat it, then all the metal and the dirt, or the grease and dirt and grime is all gone. But you can see right here in our trunk panel, pretty bad there, right?
George calls it Belgian lace.
Belgian lace? Yeah, it does look like lace work, doesn't it? Hey, it kind of looks like the little lace work my grandmother had on her kitchen table. So there's just too much rust here. But Sherman & Associates also has patch panels for here. Now, Bram, if you can zero in right here, I want people to see this hole right here. This is our shock tower hole. Yeah, Brent, stick your finger through there. No, wrong hole. Over here.
There it is.
There we go.
Okay.
This is where our shocks originally mount on the 55, 56, 57. They come through here. Now, what happens, do you think, is going to happen to your rear end support if this rusts out? I mean, and you really need some good rear end support. So, yeah, thanks.
Derriere booster.
Glad some people are getting the jokes today. All right, now Danchuk has a bar, a support bar, that will weld into our frame just underneath that, and that's what we're going to mount our rear shocks into. So that's that, and also our engine mounts are going to be coming up later on in the show, where we're going to show you how we're going to adapt to a late model engine and put in that shock support there. Now, what we need to do right now is go over, we started work on a power plant. Is George over there working, or is he goofing off?
I was drinking coffee again.
George drinks coffee like Andy drinks, you know what, an adult beverage. So anyway, let's run over and see what George is coming up with on our block. George.
Yes, sir.
How are we doing on the engine here?
Well, we've dug up a 4-bolt small block Chevrolet 350.
Oh, 4-bolt main there, yeah.
A little more durability and a little more strength,
Yeah.
especially under heavy use.
Was it hard to find? Did we dig this one out? What did we get? Is this the one we got out of that El Camino that I had?
I imagine.
Okay. We got a 4-bolt main out of a 6.6 El Camino. What are the odds? We don't know. But we're happy we got it. This is what we're going to use as a powertrain for our 56. What have you come up with so far, and what can you tell the folks about checking out a block if they're not sure about whether or not it's a good block to start with as a core?
One of the first things to check, of course, is your cylinder wall taper and whether it's round, so you know whether or not you need to rebuild it, and have it bored at the same time instead of just slapping rings at it and going.
Which some people do.
Consequently,
Some people do. We call them bozos.
consequently, you have these little goodies, which is a bore gauge and a micrometer. The whole object being, first, to see how much taper you have in that cylinder.
Where do you want to measure first? At the top?
At the top, and this is your maximum wear point. It's right at the top piston travel.
That's also where your ridge would be?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to check for your ridge too?
Yep.
Okay, the ridge is going to be the top of the spring travel to the top of the head. There'll be a little lip there. You can catch it with your fingernail, then it's too big.
Okay, we're not showing too bad a taper right at the top.
How can people check out their block to know what year it is, what type it is, and what they can do with
Okay,
it?
there are a number of good publications out. This block, however, is out of round. It will have to be bored.
Okay, so we're
It's
gonna.
board
It's okay.
gauge.
We're gonna go 30 over with our engine kit anyway. So
Okay. On finding out what you have, other than a couple of obvious points, is Chevrolet has their casting numbers on the left rear of the block. And normally, on most Chevrolets, depending on the vintage, you'll have a pad on top of the block that has another number that tells you whether it came from a truck, a passenger car. And there are many publications out with all these numbers listed with the years and the application.
okay,
And they're available all over the place.
okay. So
But,
without an application, can they call you? You'll pretty much know.
As long as I have a book handy.
I think George has been around since the first engine came out in 0001 casting. What?
But to give people who don't know, this is what the bottom end of a factory production 4-bolt main Chevrolet looks like.
Hey, don't watch the dirt.
You have on the center 3 main bearing caps, you have the 2 outside shorter bolts.
Okay, that's
this-
what everybody craves about. Hey, it's stronger. It's a stronger bottom end, right?
Right, you have a little less tendency for side-to-side flexing in the crankshaft.
Mm-hmm.
And these are generally considered plenty sturdy because all the weight is really carried here under heavy load.
Okay, but there's not 4 bolts on the front and the back.
Right.